1499.3 KLIN.
Well, political popcorn. That's what we're going to talk about today. It's Monday after Thanksgiving. Hope your Thanksgiving went well. Wyatt, hope yours went well too.
Yes, it did.
All right. I was flat on my back for 4 days.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I have not had the crud like that for a long time. So I'm in here. Hopefully make it through today. All well. Feeling good right now. So, and I needed something to get my blood pumping. You know what I'm saying? To get going, to get me off my back. I'll tell you what, I saw a story today and it absolutely did that. Today we're going to have our eyes opened on what is truly going on behind the scenes politically right here in Lancaster County that impacts all local and county races across the state. So you need to tune into this. There is a money machine that is taking over the state at an alarming rate, and it seeps its way all the way down to our political races locally. So let's get the popcorn out. Sounds good on a Monday. And start following this political money trail from multi-million and multi-billion dollar companies and organizations that are influencing our local races. Specifically, today we're going to talk about the Lancaster County Commissioner District 4 race. I've talked about this quite a bit before. And you may ask yourself, why? Why, Doug? Why is this so important to look at? Two things. There's several things, but two things specifically today. Outside of state companies, political organizations, and individuals with power are working hard to control what happens to us right here in Nebraska. So you have to ask yourself why. Secondly, some of the individuals running for office and those who get elected are being directly influenced and paid so that they will enact policies that benefit those outside of the state, companies, political organizations, and individuals. Things are happening. And we need to dig into this. A couple weeks ago, I was directed to a website that completely opened up my eyes to where this money is being where this money is and the funding is coming from for local, county, and state races for political campaigns. It's a Nebraska.gov site. It's available to anybody. It shows you what companies, political organizations, and individuals donated and to which candidate and how much they donated to their campaign. And I said I would start digging into this in the future. I was going to wait for a while, kind of let it simmer a little bit, like a good gravy or something. But something happened today that tripped my trigger on this. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about it. I've put that website link. It's available to anybody. Put it up on our social media feed. It's also available and will be available on the podcast feed as well. You can dig in there. I encourage you to do it. You can go to any campaign that went on and find out who's running, who donated, how much money did they take in, how did they spend the money. This is how we found out how Kamala Harris, spent her $1.4 billion in like 12 weeks or something like that. So, but you're definitely going to want to stick around for this one. We're going to dig into it, and we're going to find out which candidate received the most campaign money in that District 4 race, where that money came from, and what it's going to. That's what tripped my trigger today. If you want to call or text in, you're welcome to 402-479-1400. Let's take a break, and when we come back, break out that popcorn. We're going to follow the political money trail for the Lancaster County Commissioner District 4 seat. That's coming up next. And again, you can call the Hunt Irrigation Talk and Text line 402-479-1400. Text it or also comment on any of our 8 social media feeds as well. Thanks so much for listening to Drive Time Nebraska.
Getting the whole story.
Always accurate coverage.
1499.3 KLIN.
Certified Transmission built its reputation on the job done right.
It means hard work, honesty, and integrity.
And together, we ensure our customers leave satisfied and worry-free.
Certified Transmission, the job done right at the right price.
The cool days and chilly nights of fall have arrived. Now is the time to check your heating system to make sure it's ready for Nebraska's cold weather. Let Biggerstaff Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your local Lennox dealer, check your system to make sure it's safe and working as it should for the colder weather ahead. And if it's time to replace your system, Biggerstaff can deliver a reliable, energy-efficient Lennox heating and cooling system. Government, utility, and Lennox incentives are available for high-efficiency systems. Call 402-466-8118 to schedule your heating check today.
This holiday season, what if you could put extra money back in your pocket, up to $166 every single month? A Casasa checking account at Liberty First Credit Union makes it easy. Earn rewards for doing the things you already do, like a direct deposit, using your debit card, and getting e-statements. Whether it's for holiday fun, paying bills, or saving for the future, Casasa helps you keep more of your hard-earned cash. Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose. Qualifications apply. See a Liberty First representative for details.
This holiday season in December, the Good Feet store will donate 1 pair of shoes per system purchase to their partners Souls for Souls. They help provide new shoes and clothing to people in crisis situations. Come to the Good Feet store and help care for people in crisis this holiday season.
You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. Disagree with Doug? The guests? The topic? Call or text 402-479-1400 now to be a part of the show. KLIN weather brought to you by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical.
Mostly cloudy and cold this evening with a slight chance of flurries. Temperature dropping into the upper teens by midnight. After midnight, decreasing clouds and still cold with a low in the mid-teens. Tuesday, mostly sunny and breezy. It will not be as cold with a high temperature in the low 40s. From the 1011 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brandon Rector.
KLIN Time Saver Traffic, delivered by Paisanos, Lincoln's best brick oven pizza.
On the downhill side, the evening commute, no major accidents pass along at this time. Still some slow going on eastbound Normal Boulevard between A and South Street, also South 27th between Van Dorn and Nebraska Parkway. Eastbound O Street between Antelope Valley Parkway and 27th Street, and South 14th and Nebraska Parkway. Do keep in mind that South 98th, Old Cheney to A Street, local access only for paving work, and be sure to buckle up and keep those lights on. If you do see anything that slows you down, call the traffic tip line 402-479-1414. That's another check your time saver traffic.
Raising the roof on the issues that truly matter to Nebraskans, with the occasional net violation. You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
Oh. Lots of money filtering in from outside the state for our local elections. You'd expect it for the presidential race, Senate races, even state Senate races. My goodness, we're talking about county commissioner. I've been talking about this, I know, but today's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to talk numbers, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Interesting coming out from outside the state. We're going to find out where it's all going to. And it was triggered today by something that I read. So we'll get to that in just a second. I want to thank our title sponsor, Lincoln Coin and Bullion, for taking care of us, taking care of me. They've been my precious metal dealer for well over a decade now. And I tell you what, there's gold and silver. I was doing some watching of different YouTube's videos over the weekend, seeing some different ads for gold and silver, platinum, palladium. The thing that concerns me about that is if you're ordering something over the internet, we know there's lots of scams. So you want to make sure that you're going to a trusted place, a place where you can actually see the product and know that they're local, they're respected. Probably one of the biggest gold, silver, platinum, and palladium organizations that they do what they do in the Midwest. So check them out. Lincoln Coin and Bullion. They work by appointment only. They want to keep your privacy to the utmost. Call them up 402-327-2853. Or you can go to the website lincolncoinandbullion.com. All right. Well, are you ready to have your eyes open a little bit? Mine were. I'm going to find out what's truly going on behind the scenes politically right here in Lancaster County. And it's not just here in Lancaster County. If it's happening at the county commissioner's level, then you know my political trifecta locally. It's going to impact you on a day-to-day basis. City council, school board, and county commissioners. Those are the key races. And you've got those in basically every county. So if this is happening here, trust me, it's happening everywhere. There's money coming in. It's a machine, well-oiled machine, as a matter of fact. Multi-million-dollar companies and organizations, multi-billion-dollar companies and organizations trying to impact the way that you live, the way that I live in this county and in this city. Specifically, again, we're looking at the Lancaster County Commissioner District 4 race. That race was between Democrat Chelsea Johnson and Republican David Russell. Chelsea Johnson won after she had like 2 weeks there towards the end of the campaign where she just came out with a barrage of negative accusations against Russell that were not true. We had David on the show. We invited Chelsea. She chose not to come on the show. Well, she said she would, and then she didn't. And I've highlighted this a couple of times now, but we're going to dig into the money, and we're going to look at this whole process. And you say, well, why is this important? When there's outside money coming in, they're trying to impact your way of life. There's something going on. And not only that, the second thing is when these people are elected, they're influenced. If they're given $100,000 from an organization to win their race, trust me, when that organization comes a calling, when they're in office, they've got the ear, and something's probably going to happen. So we have to pay attention to these things. And what we need to do is we need to pay attention to these things before they happen, before the elections. And you have the ability to do that. There's a great tool that the state has. It's called the Nebraska Accountability and Disclosure Commission. It's a website. It's a nebraska.gov website where you can view campaign filings, personal financial disclosures, potential conflicts, lobbying reports, and a lot more. You can also find out reports filed by candidate committees, PACs, ballot question committees, political party committees, businesses, individuals, public officials, and their entities. They're all right there. Names, addresses, how much money they gave, when they gave. Might be a clue before you vote for somebody. Something was triggered today in me to go down this route today. I was going to hold off for a while. But I read the story and I'm like, you know what? This story is going to get buried. And it was kind of prominent on the Lincoln Journal-Star website. And then I went back after I was doing a bunch of research about an hour and a half later, and it was, slowly getting pushed aside. Here's what it said. The headline said that a Florida energy company is proposing what would be Lancaster County's largest solar farm. Now, this is amazing if you think about this. Now, is solar power, is there something to that? I don't know. I'm not getting into the issue of solar power. I'm getting into the issue of influence, okay? But according to an application to the Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Department, Next Era Energy, remember that name, Next Era Energy wants to build a 304 megawatt solar project on more than 2,400 acres, 2,400 acres just east of Hallam in the southern part of our county. That would make it huge. It's going to be larger than the one that's off East Lincoln right now, that's getting ready to be built right now between 148th and 190th Street, O Street to Havelock Avenue. The company's proposing to build the facility in 2 phases. Now, here's the key. Listen to this closely. We've got Next Era Energy, the company. But the article says, assuming the project gets governmental approval. Guess what? Who gives the approval? Those that we elected into office. So assuming the project gets governmental approval, construction set to begin sometime next year in the first phase. Operations beginning in 2026. Second phase would be completed in 2028. Now, Next Era estimates that the cost for the development of this project, $600 million. Temporary jobs created, 250 to 300. Full-time, though, you'd think a farm like this with that amount of money and this amount of impact would employ a lot of full-time people, 10. And according to the study done by the Bureau of Business Research at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, construction of the project would have a nearly $200 million regional economic impact. So that's $200 million bucks, and an ongoing economic impact of $7 million annually. Now, here's a number that kind of caught me off guard, though, because you're thinking, all right, we've got property tax issues. We've got all kinds of tax issues. Maybe if this company comes in, we'll be able to offset some tax stuff, right? The study also estimates that the project will produce $1.4 million in local tax revenues over its projected 30-year operational life. What's 1.4 million divided by 30? I didn't even do those numbers. Measly is what that is. If I'm reading this all right. The project is scheduled for public hearing Wednesday in front of the Lancaster County Planning Commission. The meeting starts at 1 o'clock in the city council chambers. As of Friday, only one area resident had emailed the planning department to express any opposition to the project. Well, nobody knows about it. And that's what Kim Topp's problem is. She owns property that would be surrounded by 3 sides of these solar panels, and she's got questions. What's the size going to be? Are there fire risks? Can it impact my health? Topp's a real estate agent. Also, she said she's concerned about potential negative effects on the land and home values in the area. And she said there were no community meetings or outreach from NextEra about the proposed solar farm. So nobody knows about this. And she also said that as of Friday morning, she had not received a letter from the planning department notifying her of Wednesday's scheduled public hearing. Again, nobody knows about this. She says she's talked to other people in the area who oppose the project, and she thinks that those people could be affected, but they haven't heard from anybody. The planning department's recommended conditional approval already of a special permit needed for the project. They've already started working on this project. Unlike zoning changes and annexations, which require a vote by elected body officials for the city council or the county board, special permits can be approved or denied by the planning commission. So this project's already started underway, approved by a planning commission, which is not by elected officials, not elected upon. But here's the thing. You can appeal this right now. You can approve or deny it as a citizen. Go to the meeting. If the decision is appealed, the project would then move to the county board for a public hearing and vote. This should be appealed. Let the commissioners vote. I know how the commissioners will vote. We're going to dig into that. But at least should be appealed. And then we need to change the Lancaster County Commissioners Board members so that we have members in there that aren't influenced by the vote. Now, let's go back to the website again that I was made aware of, the Nebraska Accountability and Disclosure Commission. After reading this article, NextEra Energy seemed familiar to me when I was pursuing this site and perusing it after the Lancaster County Commissioner District 4 race about a month ago. So I went back to it today. Sure enough, there was NextEra Energy contributing to a Lancaster County Commissioner District 4 candidate. And it wasn't just NextEra Energy. Along with it came a shocking number of other companies and organizations as well that have donated a ton of money. Now, when we come back, I'm going to share with you what I found, where all the outside of the state money is coming from, and who it's going to. Pretty revealing. And the reason why I'm doing this is we need to highlight, it's so vital who we put into office. It's so important that we learn about these people and what's going on and who's supporting them before we go to the election booth and put a check mark down. But we're just not a lot of down ballot votes. Most people just kind of set them aside. It doesn't really matter. It does. These down ballot votes matter to your daily life. I'm going to find out more about that here in just a minute. Cities from across the state, they are listening to Drive Time Nebraska.
Let Lincoln know if your organization or business is impacted by the latest severe weather. Go under the closings tab and sign up at klin.com.
Your privacy is their priority at Lincoln Coin & Bullion. Secure your appointment to buy or sell silver and gold with Nebraska's largest coin, currency, and bullion dealer today.
Discover the difference with Oak Electric, a local woman-owned business offering premium electrical service at competitive prices. With over 25 years of experience, their master electrician is one of Lincoln's top experts. Their small, dedicated team focuses on quality control and safety for your family or business. Experience the premium customer service you deserve. When life happens, call Oak Electric at 402-440-5969 because they always answer the phone. Oak Electric, where quality and safety come first.
Does your business need quick, competitive financing for heavy machinery, trucks, or other equipment? Currency is here to help. Whether you're financing construction equipment, farm equipment, trucks, trailers, or any other big-ticket item, Currency will automatically find the best rates. Currency facilitates loans for up to $500,000 with repayment terms up to 72 months. It's fast, easy, and free to use. Visit gocurrency.com and apply today.
At Pemberley Place Senior Living here in Lincoln, our experts help you enjoy life every step of the way. Pemberley Place offers a continuum of care campus for independent living, assisted living, and memory care. Surround yourself with activity, good friends, great food, and a new outlook on life. Plus all the personalized and attentive care you deserve. For apartment availability, visit PemberleyPlace.com. That's PemberleyPlace.com, an MJ Senior Living community.
In this season of togetherness, support older adults through Tabitha. Remember Lincoln area residents who just don't have the luxury of friends or family nearby or the means to shop for and cook food. 81% cannot afford to cover the cost of this meal delivery that allows them to remain independent at home. Give the gift of meals with Tabitha Meals on Wheels. Go to tabitha.org/serve and make a donation today. Tabitha Foundation is a purpose-driven 501c3 nonprofit. Your donation is tax deductible.
You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. More of the show coming up on 1499.3 KLIN. KLIN weather brought to you by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical.
Mostly cloudy and cold this evening with a slight chance of flurries. Temperature dropping into the upper teens by midnight. After midnight, decreasing clouds and still cold with a low in the mid-teens. Tuesday, mostly sunny and breezy. It will not be as cold with a high temperature in the low 40s. From the 1011 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brandon Rector.
KLIN Time Saver Traffic, delivered by Paisanos, Lincoln's best brick oven pizza.
As we wind down the evening commute, still seeing that slow going on eastbound Normal Boulevard between 8th Street and South Street and South 27th Street between Van Dorn and Nebraska Parkway. Might want to find an alternative route around those areas. Also eastbound O Street and 27th Street and U.S. Highway 34 and Fletcher Avenue. Do keep in mind that we have several downtown street and building projects. Do watch for lane shifts and closures in the downtown area, and harvest continues throughout the region. Do watch for trucks and equipment on the roadways. That's another check here. Time Saver Traffic.
Tackling the issues that truly matter to Nebraskans head on. With the occasional targeting call, this is Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, Janice, thanks so much for messaging in on social media saying, I noticed you've been talking about money influencing elected officials. And even though you've been talking for what seems like 15 minutes, you've been introducing the topic, but told us nothing. Janice, here's what's important to me. Yes, I got to introduce it. It makes no sense if I had to just come out and said, hey, these people are influenced by these companies. You got to know who these companies are and where they're from. So I'm going to take my time to introduce. I appreciate the comment, but we're going to get to some numbers here in just a second. Home Healer Handyman Services, which I know, by the way, they're awesome. Check them out on social media. He's grabbing his popcorn, says thanks for shedding the light on this. And then James said it would be a no on the project. We need everyone at that meeting peacefully and patriotically letting your voices be heard. So I appreciate that. What are we talking about? Well, let's get back to this political campaign funding for the Lancaster County Commissioner District 4 race, won by Democrat Chelsea Johnson. Today, I read an article in the Lincoln Journal-Star saying that according to an application to the Lancaster County Planning Department, Next Era Energy wants to build a 2,400 acre facility, the largest in the state, probably in this whole area, just east of Hallam. Next to Era Energy rang a bell to me, so I've been going on this website, Nebraska Gov website for the Nebraska Accountability and Disclosure Commissions to find out who's been given to who. And I looked at the District 4 race a while back when we were trying to figure out what was going on with the race, why the negative campaigning that Chelsea Johnson was putting out against David Russell was like, where is this money coming from all in the last 2 weeks? And as I was perusing that and I was reading this Lincoln Journal-Star article, I'm like, Next Era Energy, that rings a bell. So I went back and checked it all out. And here's what I found. Now, before I move on, I want to reiterate again. Why is this important? When you have outside of the state companies, organizations, people who are spending a lot of money on down ballot races like county commissioner, you have to be aware of this. There's a reason for it. And then you need to look at the officials, especially if they get elected, because if they're getting all this money to get put into office, they are influenced. Bottom line, they're already influenced, which makes it very important that we pay attention. So let's look at Chelsea Johnson's money that came in for her campaign. Now, there's three sets of three groups of contributions I'm going to read to you. The first one is I'm not going to do everything, but the first one is when they launch the campaign, they come out with all the finances and who gives to who. Then there's a primary, and there's a separate report for that and who's giving. And then there's the general election. Okay, so we've got the launch, the primary, and the general election for both these candidates. I'm going to read Chelsea Johnson's here. So this was in her launch. She got a lot of money at the launch period. Elliott Bostar for legislature. Now, first of all, there were a lot of individuals. I'm not going to get into the individual names. You can go to the website. It's on our social media link. It's on my podcast description when we come out. You can go to the individuals. I'm not going to go down individuals' pages. It's interesting, though, especially for this pre-launch, that there are some interesting names. But I want to go to organizations. All right, so the first one, Elliott Bostar for legislature helped Chelsea kick off her campaign with $25,000. Michael Bowers for Nebraska gave $500. There are a couple other organizations, one called Bold Alliance or Bold Nebraska out of Hastings. I'm going to get to that here in just a second. Then there was Next Era Energy Resources giving $2,500 to help her kick off her campaign. Imagine that. There it was. From Juno Beach, Florida. All right, let's look at Next Era. Next Era is an energy company, a big one of the largest in the world, electric utility, capitalization well over $170 billion, subsidiaries across the country, and one of the nation's largest capital infrastructure investors with a presence in 49 of the United States. So they helped her. So that's where there was a trigger in my mind when I'm reading this article. I'm like, oh, that's where this money came from. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go to Bold Alliance. What is Bold Alliance? Because they gave $10,000 to help her kick off her campaign. Bold Alliance is a progressive political advocacy group founded by Jane Klebb in 2010 in the state of Nebraska. Bold Alliance, or Bold Nebraska, began as a progressive website. It's been vocal as the opponent to the Keystone Pipeline. It's also been an advocate for gay rights. Jane Klebb, who founded Bold Alliance, serves as Nebraska's director and chair of the Democratic Party here in Nebraska. I think she's up for another campaign thing I read today. They're progressive, a heavy left-leaning advocacy group in the United States. Progress Now is an affiliate. Or they're an affiliate of Progress Now, excuse me. Progress Now is a progressive, left-leaning advocacy organization in the United States. Progress Now bills itself as a network of state-based communication hubs which act as marketing departments for progressive ideas. Bold Alliance has received also money from Tides Advocacy Fund. The Tides Foundation is a left-leaning donor advisory fund based in the United States, managing over $1.4 billion in assets. Tides distributes money from anonymous donors to organizations and other organizations, which are often politically progressive. Tides has received substantial funding from George Soros. And this organization, Bold Alliance, with Jane Klebb, is in Hastings, Nebraska. Big chunk of money. Then there's some other organizations as she launches her campaign. Another one was, let me read this one here. I'm actually reading the sheet. Oh, yeah, Climate Cabinet PAC. I'm like, what's climate cabinet pack? They gave $2,500. This is a pack from South San Francisco, a left-leaning progressive group that uses data. I'm getting this information from Wikipedia and their own websites. All right. I'm not making this stuff up. This is this is from their website. A progressive group that uses data science to find under the radar politicians with outsized climate impact. They help them impact the leaders run, win, and legislate on climate change. This is in their own words. They've worked with over 500 campaigns since 2020. In 2023, Climate Cabinet won about 75% of its top priority races, ranging from municipal, county, and state offices. There you go. Right. There you go. San Francisco. All right, let's move on to Chelsea's. Let's see. I got all these papers here. There we go. Chelsea's primary election. Again, there's individuals. Then there's neighbors for Sean Flowerday. He gave $12,500 from his campaign. He's the guy. And if you remember at the last county commissioners meeting, he kind of gave a little snide little comment to Matt Schulte, and I played that a few times. Women who run for Nebraska PAC gave $500. Bold Alliance, another $10,000. Lincoln Firefighters Union Association, $2,500. And then Range Power. Range Power from Chicago, Illinois gave $5,000. What is Range Power? Well, they're a renewable energy development company that brings new clean energy products and investments to communities. They work closely with Next Era Energy. And from what I've read in different stories, once they build these solar farms, Next Era Energy then purchases several of them from Ranger Power. So we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, and we haven't even gotten to the general election. All right, time for a break. When we come back, let's find out who supported Chelsea Johnson more in the general election for the District 4 Lancaster County Commissioner race. And also, we're going to look at who funded her opponent, and we're going to look at the differences here. Thanks so much for listening on your drive home today. We appreciate it. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Got an opinion on the latest Huskers game? Fire off with a voice message in the free KLIN app. You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. Sports Nightly is next on 1499.3 KLIN.
You may have heard about Monolith, how right here in Nebraska, we're producing low-emission carbon black for tires across North America. How we'll soon be providing farmers with locally made fertilizer to reduce our reliance on foreign imports. How we're investing hundreds of millions in multiple Nebraska facilities. You might have heard Monolith is changing the world. We're not. You are. Along with many other Nebraskans in high-paying jobs that support families and communities. Monolith, Nebraska made.
Barb Ballard with the From Nebraska gift shop.
Nothing says Nebraska like the From Nebraska gift shop in Lincoln's Haymarket. If it's from or about Nebraska, you can find it at the From Nebraska gift shop, providing the best Nebraska has to offer. With a variety of delicious food items and unique gifts, what better way to thank a client, reward an employee, or attract new customers than with a personalized gift basket? The From Nebraska gift shop, providing the perfect gift for any occasion.
At Woodhouse, we're cultivating connections that are lifelong. From your first test drive to servicing your vehicle, we're dedicated to providing you with a personal and professional experience each and every time. Experience the Woodhouse difference. Get started today at woodhouse.com.
COVID-19 has cast a spotlight on the stark inequalities that drive poverty. The poorest communities in the U.S. and around the world are suffering the most. Oxfam believes we can put systems in place to protect health and livelihoods in the future if we work together with dignity and compassion. Learn how you can help offer safety to the most vulnerable and fight for a more resilient future at oxfamamerica.org. Sponsored by Oxfam America.
You're listening to Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald. More of the show coming up on 1499.3 KLIN. KLIN weather brought to you by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical.
Mostly cloudy and cold this evening with a slight chance of flurries. Temperature dropping into the upper teens by midnight. After midnight, decreasing clouds and still cold with a low in the mid-teens. Tuesday, mostly sunny and breezy. It will not be as cold with a high temperature in the low 40s. From the 1011 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brandon Rector.
Training threes on the issues that truly matter to Nebraskans, with the occasional technical or two. This is Drive Time Nebraska with Doug Fitzgerald on 1499.3 KLIN.
Oh, we are having fun today, digging in some numbers. All public information. Everybody can grab it. You can go to the website, the Nebraska Gov website. Check it out on our social media feed. I've got it there. We'll have it on our podcast description form as well. Go there, check it out yourself. Get all kinds of names and numbers, find out who's supporting who. Well, today we've been looking at the Lancaster County Commissioner's race in District 4 of this, it's been about a month ago now. And Chelsea Johnson's got a lot of money coming in from outside the state. Different organizations influencing her. The thing that triggered was an article from Next Era Energy that was in the Lincoln Journal-Star today saying that they're going to build a 2,400-acre solar farm. Biggest one in Nebraska. That's 24 acres is not a small little plot. 2,400 acres is huge. Multi-millions, right? $600 million to implement it. There's some economic benefits to this, but man, it sure doesn't look like it's a lot. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But what I'm looking at today is how are these people and organizations and companies influencing our politics to impact your day-to-day life? Mateo said this, Next Era gave Johnson and Yoakum money. They also gave the Flower Day Invest through Nebraska New Energy Economic PAC. I'm not sure about that one. He said they also gave to Roma Amundsen and Deb Shore. So I'm sure you can go on and dig more. I just dug into this one. You can dig into so much more. So I gave you the first round, right, of how Chelsea Johnson was being supported, Democrat who won the District 4 Lancaster County Commissioner's race about a month ago. Next Era Energy, obviously from Florida, gave her a lot of money to get kickstarted. Bold Alliance from Nebraska gave her a lot of money to get kickstarted. Climate Cabinet PAC from San Francisco, Ranger Power. But she received most of her campaign funding during the general election. All right, so let's dig into this. And there's 3 separate reports here that you can go through. So here's the general election and who gave to her. Nebraska Farm, I'm not going to get into all these. I've already read some of these already. Nebraskans for Common Ground. I'm like, well, who is Nebraskans for Common Ground? And the reason why it sticks out is they gave 4 contributions in the total of $105,000. 30,000, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000. Nebraskans for Common Ground was financed primarily by the Washington, D.C. base, this is what I could find out, League of Conservation Voters, which gave the group at least $500,000, if not more. Obviously, I think it's fair to say that the assumptions of all this, that they have an agenda. Then you have the Nebraska Great Plains Laborers District Council PAC Fund. That's a union, $1,000 there. Communications company. Bold Alliance again, giving more money out from Hastings with Jane Clubb. Ranger Power, we talked about them already. And the final contribution it shows from a company called Panama Energy Center in Juno Beach, Florida, $5,000. Like, well, who's this? Panama Energy Center project is an innovative solar and energy storage project proposed for Lancaster County, Nebraska. That will come. This is off their website. That will combine a 304 megawatt of clean solar energy with 120 megawatts of battery power energy as well. The Panama Energy Center is more than solar panels and batteries, it says. It represents a significant capital investment in Nebraska. It is a subsidiary of, you guessed it, Next Era Energy, the world's largest generator of renewable energy from the wind and the sun, and the leader in battery storage. I'm not saying the company's bad or having solar power is bad. I don't know. I haven't dug into all that. But what concerns me, what should concern you, is you've got these mega billion-dollar corporations, companies, and organizations and PACs sending hundreds of thousands of dollars into the state of Nebraska, in this case, just for a county commissioner race, to impact your life, to get the candidate elected, and then to have the candidate in their hip pocket when they need him most. Well, Next Era, man, they just come out, right? Lincoln Journal Star today. 2,400 acre solar farm. They need approval. They've got some initial approval, it looks like. But on Wednesday, there's a meeting at the Planning Commission, City Council room. And if there's enough opposition, then this can go up for a vote. If not, it can be passed on and started. Now, if it goes up to a vote, from my assumption, it goes to the Lancaster County Commissioners. And we know how that's going to go. Next Era will get what they want because they're the ones getting the money from Next Era and all their friends and all their friends' friends. But at least it should go up for a vote. And then the reason why I'm doing this show, we need to pay more attention to who we're voting for so that we can change who's being put into office and know who they're being influenced by. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to David Russell. He was Chelsea's candidate. And Chelsea, the last 10 weeks, the reason why this came about, the reason why I got interested in this, there was a postcard that came out, and it was just bashing David Russell. And I texted him the postcard. I said, what's this? Saying he's a lobbyist. He's raising money for his friends, wants to implement eminent domain on people, all this bad stuff that I knew wasn't true, but I had to ask him about it. Had him on the show. He explained it. He had all the support from Tom Duden, many other people, Sheriff's Department, yada, yada, yada. And so that's what got me interested in all this. And it was frustrating because from that standpoint, it's just like, why would you run if you're just going to get attacked, right? Why would you run and put your life on the line, family's life on the line? He had never run before. Just trying to make a difference, serve his constituents in his area. And then you start looking at the numbers. And I'm like, where did all this? And it wasn't like one postcard for me. I think I've got 6 or 7 that were mailed out to me from Chelsea Johnson or her friends, spending a lot of money to make David look bad. That's why I'm like, where is all this money coming from? Now we know where it's coming from and why, because a lot of this came in during the general election, the last few weeks of the race. All right, let's look and see where David's money came from. In the launch phase, all his money came in from individual donors. Again, I'm not going to get into the individual donors. It looked like it was approximately a total of about $10,000 total from several different individual donations. All right. That's it. That's all you got there. And then let's move on to the primary. Where did the money come from the primary? Again, there were a few more individual donations. And then there was one corporation, Sandhills Global. Let's see what Sandhills gave. Got to flip through my pages here, Wyatt. Fingers aren't sticky enough. Sandhills Global gave $5,000. Local organization, Lincoln, Nebraska. Sandhills Global is an information processing company that connects buyers and sellers in the agriculture, construction, transportation, and aviation industries. That was that. That was it. Let's move on to the general election. This one's going a lot faster, Wyatt. So David Russell, again, a lot of just individual contributions. Then we move into organizations. Rob Clements for legislature, $500. Wagner for sheriff, $500. Lincoln Independent Business Association, looks like 2 contributions, $2,000 and $1,500. And Nebraska Realtors PAC, $1,000. That's it. I think total he brought in around, I don't know, $19,000, somewhere in there, 19,000. Chelsea's campaign was more like in the upper well, closer between $170,000 to $200,000, at least from what I can gauge here. And that money that came in at the end for Chelsea Johnson, very clear, it came in to intentionally make and play politics, make David look bad, to simply cause you to question. It's all it's designed to do. Just one little question of doubt to make you not vote for somebody. Here's what I'm learning from this. I did a whole show on this 2 weeks ago, saying how do we deal with this? How do we counteract this? Senator Pete Ricketts said, Doug, it's people like you. Somebody has to be able to shine a light on this. And that's getting out the message of the candidates. And what I have learned from this, from my perspective, from my job, it's my job to be better at really digging in and fleshing out who are these candidates, what do they stand for, and who's supporting them. Now that I know and have a tool or resource, I can do that. I wasn't, and it's my fault, I wasn't aware of this beforehand until now I was given this website. And I know this doesn't answer every question in the book, but it answers some. So I give you the tool as well. Go to our social media feeds, the link's right there. When the podcast is up, link will be in the description. You can check it out for yourself. There are millions of dollars being not infiltrated. Well, kind of, I guess, in a way. Being filtrated. Maybe that's a better word legally. Filtrated into Nebraska, into your county, wherever you're listening, into your city, affecting city council, school board, county commissioners. They impact your property taxes most, your local taxes most. They make the decisions of how you live, the safety of your family. Who do you want them influenced by? You want them influenced by you, the constituent, and supported by you and the local organizations? Or do you want them influenced by outside organizations from San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Florida, George Soros? That's the question we have to ask ourselves, because that's happening. We can't keep our head in the sand any longer. All right, if you'd like to listen to the podcast of this show or share it with somebody else, go to klin.com. You can also find it on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks so much for listening today. Thanks so much for commenting in. Janice, James, Eamon, Mateo, I appreciate that. Appreciate your interaction. Tune in tomorrow. We've got Talk and Text Tuesday. Thanks so much to my producer, Wyatt. There's only 82,800 seconds left until we see each other again, my friends. Sports Nightly's next. Stay tuned for that and have a great night.
From the Momo Pizzeria and Ristorante Studios, we are the voice of Lincoln. KLIN Lincoln. KDDK HD3 Lincoln. K257GN Lincoln is 1499.3 KLIN.